It comes to encouraging someone, the first person that springs to my mind is my classmate Anne, someone who, not long ago, was so terrified of public speaking that he begged our teacher to let him swap roles with anyone else in the class. It happened during our grade 11 group project on climate change. Our teacher had randomly assigned Anne as the main presenter in front of the entire school assembly. And the moment he found out, he was absolutely beside himself with anxiety. He insisted he would go completely blank on stage, that his voice would shake, and that everyone would laugh at him. He was dead set against going through with it. I decided I wasn't going to let him back out. Every evening after school for 2 weeks, we sat together and practiced. Rather than making him memorize a full script, which would only make things worse, I helped him break it down into a handful of key ideas he already understood well. I kept reminding him that he knew the content better than anyone in the group, and the only thing standing between him and a good performance was his self-doubt. On the day itself, I made sure to sit right in front of Rose so he'd have a familiar face to look at, and honestly, he was remarkable. He spoke clearly, maintained eye contact with the audience, and even managed a few natural pauses that made him seem genuinely composed. The applause at the end was well deserved. Looking back, what I found most rewarding wasn't the result itself. It was watching Anne realize in real time that he was far more capable than he had ever given himself credit for. Sometimes, the best thing you can do for a friend is simply refuse to let them give up on themselves. When it comes to feeling proud of a family member, the first moment that springs to my mind is watching my sister Nga walk up to a national stage at just 17, in a room full of people far older and more experienced than herself, to collect an award he had genuinely earned. She is 9 years older than me, so when this happened, I was only around 7 or 8 years old. I didn't fully understand what was going on at that time, but I remember the atmosphere of that ceremony with remarkable clarity. She had entered a national science research competition during her grade 11 year, and her project focused on effective learning methods for secondary school students, specifically how different study techniques affect memory retention and long-term academic performance. What made it all the more impressive was that she had conducted real surveys with hundreds of students across multiple schools, analyzed the data herself, and drawn conclusions that educators at the ceremony described as genuinely insightful. The preparation had been grueling. Looking back, I now understand just how many evenings she must have spent poring over survey results and revising her written report late into the night. She never once gave the impression of being overwhelmed. She simply threw herself into work with a quiet, steady focus that I have always found difficult to replicate. When her name was called for third place nationally, I remember my mother reaching over to squeeze my hand. I was too young to fully grasp the scale of the achievement, but I remember feeling something large and warm in my chest, something I now recognize as a surge of pride. Looking back on it as a grade 11 student myself, I feel even prouder than I did that day. Nga set a standard of intellectual dedication and curiosity that I still find myself trying to live up to, and she did it at exactly the age I am now. When it comes to telling a difficult truth, the first experience that springs to my mind is the day I had to sit across from my closest friend and tell her something I knew would break her heart, that the boy she loved wasn't treating her the way she deserved. My friend, Mai, had been in a relationship for about 6 months, and to her, everything seemed fine. But from the outside, the signs were impossible to ignore. I had seen her boyfriend sending messages to other girls late at night, and on more than one occasion, he had clearly lied about his whereabouts. What troubled me the most was watching Mai slowly become more anxious and insecure, constantly questioning herself and wondering what she was doing wrong when the problem wasn't her at all. For weeks, I was torn between staying silent to protect her feelings and speaking up because I genuinely cared about her well being. In the end, I realized that continuing to say nothing would be its own kind of betrayal. So one afternoon after school, I asked if we could talk. I chose my words carefully. I didn't want to attack him directly, but I wanted her to see clearly what I had been observing. Her reaction was exactly what I feared. She went quiet, then dismissed what I said out of hand, insisting I had misunderstood. She didn't speak to me probably for a few days, and I genuinely worried I had damaged our friendship. But about a month later, she discovered the truth for herself. She called me in tears, and the first things she said was, "You were right. I'm sorry I didn't listen." She ended the relationship shortly after. That experience taught me that real friendship isn't always comfortable. Sometimes being a true friend means having the courage to say the things that no one else is willing to say, even when the timing is painful and the outcome uncertain.